You ready?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Well, it's Colin here again, Measles. I'm still working on a problem that we see. I want to reiterate my position here in on this video. I mean, put it this way: this is about my 42nd video now on YouTube. Now, if I put in what shall I say? Nothing, like 41 videos, 42, and nothing is repeated at all during that time. You don't consolidate your position. You need to keep bringing back certain things over the videos to consolidate your position. Now, if you went the other way, though, it's too far the other way, being that if you put a video on, and the very next video was about 85% the same as your previous video, then they would say, oh, I heard all this on his last video, and can put them off completely and might not even bother listening to me bloody again because of that. But if over a period of 41 videos you popped in bits and pieces on it as you went along, it'd be entirely different, spread out over those many videos. But today I want to consolidate this point of, this point of, excuse me, bit of a frog in that I've been busking. I do busking to support a work in Africa, which I've probably mentioned, and I'm at night time in Courtenay Place, and I get in Wellington here, and I get standing in a draft and that, and it's just like standing in a draft. But if you're moving, it makes all the difference. If you're walking around Courtenay Place from one side to the other, it makes all the difference in standing in the one position. Like you're standing in a draft. So I get a bit of chilly, but I can knock it out with vitamin C. But it's a matter of doing it properly. Now, I want to consolidate now, you see, I might have put in my last video, I'll repeat it again this time, that I saw a documentary on TV where they were filming this primitive tribe, and this guy was working naked. That means that village walked naked. Now, they showed him from the back for a start, but he turned around and he actually saw a frontal nudity, which was probably a bit advanced for this crazy country and that called New Zealand and this crazy world. Something that's natural should be hidden like this. I mean, it's what causes the problems, some problems. So anyway, he turned his film frontal. But today it's better because I've seen a documentary on TV on health, and you see them fully naked, girls and guys, as they're working on some medical problem or something or other, and they show actual full nudity. And in the street, I've heard the song, the young people love it, especially the girls seem to love it. And it's a song about wet ass pussy. And they just love that song, the young people. Whereas years ago, you might not have been able to put a song on like that. So fortunately, we're getting more liberal on something that's very natural. As I might have mentioned in my previous video, there's a sexologist. He said that those who enjoyed a romp in the raw were usually easygoing. And he also gave a list of things that you can get wrong with you by having a drooping sex life, one being insomnia, and there's others you can get problems from and you're basically a drooping sex life. There's a lot of sexual frustration around in New Zealand. This is why you get your kinky sex and your child molesting and child and kinky sex, urinating on one another, and they call it golden showers. You see, he didn't have this problem. It gets back to this primitive guy now. They saw him, he was working naked and they filmed him. So you'll find that in that tribe, that sex is a very natural thing in that tribe, because they walk naked. So sex is all very, very natural, and so they were well in advance than what we are today. We think, we pride ourselves in having great technology. Well, we have in that sense, but when it comes to natural things, or one like sex, they were more advanced than what we were, sort of thing, because it was natural. See, sex is a very natural thing. And anybody that's trying to do something natural should, and it gets in the way, he's trying to help out, should be helped. Like child molesting, for example, what they do in New Zealand is they put the guy away for years and to try and to protect the little girls and that in New Zealand. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine at the time. He had child molesting problems in his mind. I don't think he was a child molester as such, but he was problem with it in his mind. So he happened to, he happened to have got living with a woman for some time, some months or so. So I asked him later, I said, how's your child molesting going? And he said to me, it's gone. You see, the child molesting was sort of a product of sexual frustration. So if you see someone child molesting, instead of getting him put in jail and that, because it's a natural thing in itself, sex, I'm not saying you should go child molesting as such, but the fact that the sex is in itself is a very natural thing. But he's just misguided. He just needs just redirecting his energies into a woman sort of thing, as though the police could do with a woman who could help them. Say, look, we've got this poor cunt here. He's child molesting. Do you think you could help the poor cunt? He's prepared to pay half for electricity, half for food, and half for rent. Is it rent, food, electricity? Half for the rent. You can look after this poor cunt. He's really struggling here, and help him. And you'll find that if you get a girl, well, there could be girls that the police could notify and have them all ready. So they get a poor cunt and struggling, and help the poor cunt, you see, with his problem. You see, it's different from criminal, like, say, somebody burgling a house burglary. You see, that's a very serious matter. You can't go into people's houses and under any circumstances and go and rob their houses like that, you know. You can't do that. You can get a benefit, you know, so you just have to rely on the benefit and that. And there's food parcels, food places around in Wellington anyway where you can get food, because not in other centres, smaller parts, they might not have food outlets like they've got in Wellington. But all the same, so crime is different. You see, you can't say a policeman can't help him to rob a house better than what he's doing. So I've got a better idea how to rob a house. Do it this way, something like that. Well, that's no good, because that's evil. I mean, that's crime. You know, you can't go robbing houses. Same with the cyber attack. You see, they got this guy doing the cyber attack at the hospitals at the moment, and they're fucking the hospitals up. I mean, that's a very serious matter to go cyber. So it's a cyber attack on the hospital computer system. well, that's crime. You see, you get a cunt like that, well, then you can put him in prison. Not this poor cunt in Cuba Street here in Wellington. They gave him 7 years in prison for just kissing a few women. And yet the woman that he kissed just didn't know him, actually. If they had have known the poor cunt, like, say, they had have worked with him, they'd known him well, then they probably wouldn't have even complained in the first place, because the police, he only got involved with the police because there was a complaint. And then seeing he had so-called passed the third strike or something. Well, the third strike's all right for criminal offences, like, as I say, robbing houses or some crime, a criminal offence. Or even texting. You see, texting while you're driving is far more serious than some poor cunt kissing woman. And yet kissing a few women, he gets 7 years in prison. And somebody just texting, which will take the word just away, is very, very serious to text. So he's texting, caught by the police texting, and what would he get? Nothing much. And a guy kissing a few women gets 7 years. So I've probably covered that sort of thing, but I'm just pointing out the difference here between natural sex desires and going wrong and putting you correctly, rather than trying to put you correctly on committing crime. You don't do that. So child molesting should be taken the opposite viewpoint and saying, look, what has gone wrong with New Zealand that this country should have to molest a little girl like this? There's something wrong here. And look at it on that, and as I say, the police could have people, women already, for this sort of thing. And as I say, he's prepared to go half with the electricity, half with the phone. They don't have the cell phones these days. Half for the electricity, half for the phone, half for the food, and half for the rent. Yeah. Something like that, and help the poor cunt with his problem, you see. Like, as I mentioned probably before, that if you had a guy that was hungry for food and he decided that a good way to get food would be to hide behind a tree, and when a little girl goes past onto school, grab her school lunch and wolf the food down as he goes away. Now, you see, if a guy did that, don't think about putting him in prison to protect the little children going to school, but help the poor cunt. Why is this poor cunt like this? Why is it that he's so hungry for food that he's got to take this little girl's lunch like this? Now, what is wrong with society? Take that point of viewpoint. Get him a job. You can easily get jobs, but it needs another video to explain how to do it. I can't deviate too much here. It's easy. I'll have to put another video on. See, I've just put a video on, but it went for 41 minutes, and it didn't even go on, so now I have to put on another video to keep it within 35 minutes. So I've got to watch this time now. So we've been at about 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes by the looks of it. So anyway, getting back to sex in New Zealand, you see, what we basically need to do, as I mentioned on my last video, we must be able to walk naked in the streets. It's very natural, you see. You not only can get a sex release by walking naked, because remember what that sexologist said? He said those that enjoyed a romp in the raw were usually easygoing. When you've got sex problems, it sort of bottles things up. And you know what happens in the lab, as I've mentioned before, that if you bottle up gases in a lab, you can have an explosion in the lab. And likewise, if you bottle up emotions in people, you can have an explosion in the form of maybe suicide or cancer or a heart attack, things like this. If you've got built up emotions, you're going to have problems. In fact, I think at least one cancer is caused by suppressed desires, and that's suppressed Natural desires need to be expressed, but not bad ones. Like if you had an urge to kill people or something like that, well, that's negative. But positive aspects like sex should be helped, because sex is a very natural thing. And if you don't get it, you're going to end up with some kind of problems. So if he walked naked in the streets, passed by Parliament, hopefully unanimously, then be much happier. And now there will be problems. I mentioned in another video somewhere along the line, I don't know if you call him a researcher. What would you call him when you find out that, when I mentioned who this person was and that, you can have a better idea what to call him. Anyway, he went to his engineers and he told them that he wanted an 8-cylinder cast in the one block and to make a design for it. So anyway, he waited a whole year, and after the year, he checked on his engineers to see how they were doing, and they told him they'd found no way to carry out his orders. So he said to them either then or later on, he said, I want it and I'll have it. So they went away. It didn't say what their state of mind was, but it was probably at least despair, thinking, well, look, we've tried, it's hopeless. You might have even wondered sort of what lunatic asylum this guy come from. But no, they didn't say anything about that side of it, but they're probably in despair. They tried, so they couldn't do it. So anyway, they kept trying. And one day, if by a stroke of magic, an engineer discovered the secret, and the man as a point of interest, the researcher, what we like to call him, as a point of interest, his name was Henry Ford. And Henry Ford finally got his V8 motor produced. Now, what I want to point out about Henry Ford is that Henry Ford gave his engineers a whole year before I might have put this in my last video actually. I don't like repeating too much from one video to another, but over a period of 41 videos, you can pop in here and there, but not too much straight away. But anyway, we'll carry on with this. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in my last video. I've been different other things that I'll keep away from. But anyway, so you did a whole year. Now, you need a whole year probably to sort this problem out about nudity in the streets. They walk naked, because you'll have different problems. For example, you might have, say, an ex-guy will want to grab her, and his attitude could be, well, she's walking naked, she's up for grabs. She can't just parade herself like this to every Tom, Dick and Harry in the street and naked. She's up for grab her. And but the other side of the coin could be, no, he's still got a trespass notice against her. Excuse me. So there could be a controversy there. So they could have a look at that and come up with a law about that, which probably will be, I suppose, in favour of the girl, because excuse me. So the girl could say to him, look, see that girl over there? And she's a nice one. Why don't you grab her? She's up for grabs. She's not walking naked for nothing. She's up for grabs. Grab her. She's a nice one. Look, that one over there. And so if he said no, and he said, I want you, saying, you see, well, it's going to be difficult, you see. So they could discuss the matter and come up with a matter. You see, everybody's got their own ideas about things. That's the trouble. And people will be dogmatic, or whatever that word means, about matters like, say, abortion, for example. you've got roughly about 50% saying abortion, 50% are against it. One guy said to me he was all for abortion, and he said that he gets very angry or something about a woman being told what to do with her body. And then the other side says, oh, but you're murdering people. So, but the trouble is with that and other things, we're such dogmatic, we're asserting positively about what our belief is, and that's the way it goes, and everybody should believe the way we do and that. But it's just their opinion. So that's the problem you get in sex. You see, all that one, you see, you get somebody will have an opinion that, oh no, the law's against her. If she walks naked, then she's up for grabs. But then the other side could say no, she's still got a trespass notice against her. If the trespass notice still stands, you can grab another one, as the woman said to her. Why don't you go and grab that one over there? She's a nice one. She's up for grabs. She's naked. Grab her, and so on. So you will have teething problems, you see. But like Henry Ford gave a whole year, give it a whole year. Don't panic and close up because you're frightened, but you never had confidence in the first place about it. See, you're dealing with something very natural. See, as I say, in that remote tribe there, what I said, that guy was working naked and they filmed him. That means the whole tribe works naked. You find you won't have problems with sex there. See, this world we're living in is gone, as it were, backwards kind of thing, more normal and natural in a primitive tribe than what New Zealand is, and other, of course, all in the industrialised world are all the same. And so you see, you should be able to be naked, and that in itself will help in itself to walk naked, because as that sexologist said, remember, he said that those who walk in the raw usually were easy going. See, just imagine just the walking naked can help. Imagine if you could have free sex. Remember that gonorrhea and syphilis will fall to orthomolecular medicine, the same as any other virus or infection. That's what I'm trying to solve in New Zealand now, but I haven't been able to get in contact with. I've sent emails and that to Chris Bishop or whatever, and Chris Hipkins and so on, and I just can't get a reply because I'm stressing to make an interview. I want an appointment is what I've been stressing. But anyway, we'll move on. So therefore you will have problems. You will have a guy say he's been too rough on her. Like one girl I saw in Courtenay Place. As I mentioned, I think I do busking in Courtenay Place to fundraise the work I'm supporting in Africa, actually. So I see what's going on in Courtenay Place, and this girl, she got kissing this guy and ferociously, and I think I worked out why she was kissing him so strongly, is because he probably was a handsome cunt, and so she was kissing him. But then later on, I think it was the same cunt that he was too rough with her tits, and she drew herself back and says, "Don't be too rough on my tits," or something like that. She said. So there's those problems need to be sorted out too. You see, so walk naked, and you will have problems, but those problems are made to be solved. Which, when it comes to natural things, but as I say, if New Zealand was all brought up naked right from the word go, then it'd just be normal and natural. You wouldn't have so many problems at all. In fact, I don't know if you had any problems at all, actually. Just like that primitive tribe there, what I was saying about, they all walk naked, so everything's normal and natural. You don't have any problems. I'm going to keep on this time here. It's 29 minutes. I must keep it up to 35 minutes, otherwise it doesn't go through. If it gets to 40 minutes, you can't find it. Friend that's helping me. This is 28 minutes, so I'll have to keep moving here. So we walk naked, and then we overcome the problems. And gonorrhea and syphilis, as I say, will fall to orthomolecular medicine, but that's not a problem, so that's not a problem. It'll fall, but I need to explain all that again. And then, so we're looking at that one, and so there will be problems. Now, the baby question, the woman will like her baby. They want babies too. So they want baby. When the baby comes, they want their baby. There's sort of a magnetic attraction between a baby and the mother, in so much so that if that child was not aborted and was, say, 5 years of old age, running off to school or something, or got run over by a car, say, then and killed, you'd imagine the mother, the same one who could have aborted her, but now had the child. So the child turns out to be a gift, actually, to a woman. So it works out well, because guys want to fuck a woman, and it's all natural, and then that's how babies come, because the author of all romance, the Holy Spirit, arranged it that way. So because about half the world are here because of the sex drive, rather than just specifically wanting children, and so on. So anyway, so sex is a very natural thing, and we need to keep it natural. We need to solve the problems which are happening. And if you did solve problems properly, you'll find that that there'd be less suicides in New Zealand. People would be much happier, and would be less of a number of negative things. People are happier, but you need to sort of monitor the situation. For example, another problem it could be is that an ugly guy could want to kiss a woman. So I remember in a flat there was a few came, and this woman said to me, she said, "Oh, this guy, he's ugly." And I think that would be a general thing, because that was just her idea, but I'm pretty sure that it would be a general situation with women that they wouldn't want to be kissed by an ugly guy. But then they don't mind, I think, the ugly guy going down and doing the fastest tongue in the West. They probably will accept that from an ugly guy, but not on the lips, I should imagine. Yeah, but again, you see, you're dealing with different women. See, some women, they won't like being kissed by a guy, say, in his 40s, because it's like being kissed by their father. And yet other girls won't be a problem. Girls and guys have different thought patterns, different. They're different. And as you know, so this walking naked, as I say, will have problems. But as I say, Henry Ford gave his engineers 1 year before he checked up on them and see how they were going. But give it a whole year. Don't worry about anything, either for or against. Just give it a year, regardless of whether it's working well or whether it's not working well. If it's not working well, then you find out what the problems are, and overcome them. The problems are, and then everybody will be happier, and New Zealand could be the happiest nation in the world, not only with this but other things. And the world could look at New Zealand and say, we've done tests around the world, and we found that you New Zealanders, you're not only the happiest people in the world, but by far, there's no other country can come close to New Zealand. How are you people so happy in New Zealand? We can't, so we explained to them about we walk naked and everything's sweet in New Zealand now. We've ironed out the problems, and everybody's happy, and so on, and that's just nudity too. There's other things can make New Zealand happy too. It needs other videos to explain it properly. It's no good sometimes just mentioning something. You really need to have a video on it to explain the thing better. And so that's what we really need. Keep an eye on this time here. Still in the 20s, so I'll give it no more than 35 minutes, under the 40 minutes. Otherwise, it won't go through the video. My friend couldn't find it. He's helping me with this technology. I don't understand this technology. I did try it, but each time it went black, and he said, do this. It went black, and then another time it went black, and maybe 3 times. So after the second or third time it went black, I just gave up the ghost, and I did what he said to do, so I just let him do it all for me, and he helps me, and so on. So anyway, is it 30 minutes now? We've gone to 30 minutes now. We're in the 30s now, so I've got maybe 5 minutes left here. So I better, I'm not sure what this time is actually. 30 minutes, 30 minutes I think. So I better close in a minute. So this is what we need then as sex freedom, and then iron out the problems, given a whole year, as Henry Ford said to his engineers, gave them a whole year and sort it out what the problems are, and then you not only get tourists come to New Zealand, but just keep an eye on this time again. It's 30, 40. I'll just check. So I can't go over into 40. Otherwise, I'll just check this. It's 30 minutes 51, I think. Just check on where it goes over. So this is what we need to do, and keeping on this sex freedom one, and then other problems will, and then people will so much happier that see, as I say, we need it's 31 years. I think we've got a few more minutes left. So yeah, so this is what we need. This is one thing we need for New Zealand, and then people will be so happy, and then tourists will come. Once we knock out the virus, easy done by orthomolecular medicine, knock out the virus, those that are coming in, checked of course, and it'll be easy done. And then bringing tourists into the country. So many tourists will come and want to see this naked country, and there's so much money coming in for it. We don't know, we don't know what on earth to do with all our money, maybe in New Zealand, and to create work for New Zealanders, and so on. Well, I better just close in a minute. What's this time here? 32. It might be 32 minutes. Give it to 35. So this is what we need for New Zealand, and so I've got to get into Parliament, and I mean, I've got to, excuse me, foggy. I've got to sort this problem out in New Zealand, but I need to get into Parliament. I need to be able to see the parliamentarians and have a word with the parliamentarians, but knock out the virus and knock out the, because how can New Zealand help the world when they're struggling themselves, and that we can't even save themselves? How can they save the world? Because I need the help of New Zealanders, so therefore New Zealanders are going to have to be involved, because I need their help. So fortunately or unfortunately, New Zealand has basically been called to save themselves and the world as well. And that's what they're called, seemingly they're called to do, because the Holy Spirit, who's the author of all romance, spoke to me about going on to 4 years ago now, and he said to me that he wants to heal. There's a rift between the Christians and the world, and he wants to heal that. And he also wants Courtenay Place to change to either Romance Street or Love Street. So out of the two, I chose Romance Street, and he wants to treasure this little street unto himself as well, is what he told me. So he's probably working through me at the moment, but it's taking time, as often does in these circles. Actually, sometimes it can be done quickly, sometimes it takes a long time, and unfortunately my one's taking time. I'm looking at this time here, so it's 34, so I better close now. So I'll put on another video at some time, and we'll sort things out until we get New Zealand the greatest nation this world has ever known, then pass it on to the world. So bye for now, then we'll keep this down to 35 minutes. So bye for now. Colin signing off. Bye for now.